Hey Gemini. My apologies in advance if I am touching my hair too much or even more, a habit that I am trying to kick. However, it's finally getting to this place where I'm loving the look of it, the feel of it, the vibe of it, and well, it's cool. It's a process, and it's like more of who I feel like I am, you know? It's like people who have that inner artist, the way that they can tend to play with it if they're not okay, so even if they are or not, this is what Julia Cameron says. Either way, a lot of artists play with different styles or colors of hair when they want to express themselves, right? There's something that needs to be expressed creatively through us at different times. And okay, that will enter right into the reading. But before we get into it, all information to work with me one-on-one is below, as well as I'll be switching up my calendar space because my shifts will be, my hours of my full-time job will be changing, and the extended readings will also be available on Patreon, which will also be in a link below. I recently put out a new podcast, which you can also check out, which will be in a link below if you would like. It's called Venusian Current. I just kind of kept a theme going because I really like the word, and I don't think it's utilized enough, and I love it as a Venusian myself. So how does that all relate to what's happening with you now? Well, there's this part of you where you are so settled, and it's not that you're never going to change again. So before you get scared of the word settled, you're settled in who you are becoming, especially externally, in a specific way. And let me explain by talking about internally what you've accepted. You've accepted some parts of you recently, perhaps. These parts of you that aren't new to you. There's been a ongoing conversation or concept that has been going on within you for a while now, and it's becoming more true. It's revealing, becoming, revealing, both. So let me bring it down a little. I get a little excited when I'm like, whoo, when like the brain thought sparks and it's time to run with it. I get like so excited. So basically, you understand that. Basically, there's this part of you you're becoming more comfortable with what isn't necessarily new to you internally, because it's something that you have been thinking being for a while, maybe to like the very close, intimate people in your lives too. However, there are certain ways that it's now starting to come out of you, and it feels like there's this newness as well as this, not old, but this very obvious comfort about this newness. And it's also like this spark that's also within you that you could feel like you've been in moments, especially in moments. So like, even if you're not experiencing this all the way, I want you to remember that moments are also important. So in these moments, you will find these brief periods of, wow, this feels good to be me right now. And maybe that's something you might want to start saying to yourself if that's not how you're feeling, or if that's something that you want to experience more. So mantra could be really good for you this month, and it doesn't have to be like, say this 1,000 times. Like, no, the way I experience mantra in my day-to-day, I used to take on those more, but I have a monthly one that I do go back to. Sorry, hold on. All the adjustments being made right here, right now. I do have a monthly one I do go back to if I need it, which I do need some that redirection, that grounding. But then in times where I'm just like with myself thinking, or thoughts come into my head or certain things, I'll replace, and I started doing this a while ago, I hope that's better, is I'll replace that thought, I'll replace it in like, as if I'm having this conversation with myself. And it's recently been revealed through physics. I think I could have talked to you about this even last month. Nassim Haramein, who I learned about through Gemini and Khan. And I'm just starting to share where I've learned this information, if I can remember. I hear that's very important. So basically, it's like God is your, if you, some religions call it God is your feedback almost. So it's like the reason why it's so powerful to call source, the universe, or God is because you're naming this feedback. You can call it yourself if you want, you can call it whatever you want, but you're naming this feedback. And that's kind of like what I realized that I like what we're doing with ourselves, or what we're trying to learn, this dialogue that we're continuously having, right? So if you want to call this, like, say that you have this thought pass through your head, because we've also learned that, thoughts fly, they're not yours. They're not meant to be lingered on too much, but it happens, right? It happens. So basically, it's just how you respond to yourself. So if you respond to yourself in a way that's like, this is how you want to feel, or this is how you would want to be treated. Because and this has been a discussion that's been ongoing for a while. See, I told you, I'm sorry. I'll stop. For a while is, what was it? Is the inner child, right? That's a huge topic of conversation more than ever. It's something that I've also been interested in, but now I feel like I'm even more interested in it. And let me just shuffle these cards because we're already 6 minutes in. So I'm more interested in it. And how does this relate to you? Well, that internal feeling, because I don't know if you've ever experienced this before, but you could be experiencing it now, is, if you haven't, or reminded of it, because I feel like we're always just constantly being reminded, which is yoga philosophy for Rahasya, or it's called Rahasya in yoga philosophy. And so you're just always being constantly reminded, and if you believe in past lives, it's kind of like a similar concept, and that's why I kind of link those together. So basically, whatever you're experiencing now, that part of you that you've had held maybe for a while, and now you're beginning to unveil it in ways that might even be subconscious, because it's so part of your subconscious now, is a direct reflection of how maybe you've healed your inner child, or what needs healing with that part of you, or what needs to be spoken to with that part of you. And it's not without, discipline. It's not without being like creative too. So if you really just miss being creative and being in that process, like, just create something, right? And I know it sounds so simple to say, but we're in the season where I even woke up today like so Gemini. Today was so Gemini. I was like, I just got to get into these readings as soon as possible. Like, let me chill, let me just like move into this feeling, into this energy, into what's happening. And for you, it's about creating. And over maybe the summer, you take the summer to be in this huge creative zone. Maybe you want to collaborate with some people. Maybe there's some people, because Mars is in Leo too, which is very apparent here, right? Expression. Wherever Leo falls in your chart, I would take a look at that, because that's what wants to be maybe expressed so much right now, or communicated with, whether that's how you choose to communicate with yourself, with your needs, with your wants, what's coming up now. Leo is also depicted as the child, if you think about the sun card, and then you have the strength card, but the sun is also related to Gemini as well. So, and then Venus will be moving into Leo towards the end of the month too. So you think there's all this head and heart and this connection, and you have to have a way to back it up, right? The backing it up is being willing to have this talk perhaps with yourself, right? Maybe it's this, you start reading books based upon whatever it is that you can't stop thinking about, or you find yourself just talking about naturally in conversation, or whatever you're wanting to create. Maybe you do that, or maybe you listen to podcasts. Like, however you want to absorb this information right now, do it, because it's going only to propel that creative process as of right now. And you also notice how it's very apparent that the type of vibe you're in when you're not only creating, but your life is full. Your life, you feel full. We just came out of Taurus season, luxurious, like we literally just got out of it, but we're not leaving the luxury behind. No. We're just amping it up, right? So you're just amping, well, you are. This is a lot of cards, so I'm going to actually just put them back in to be very fair and honest with you. But if they pop out again, I'll just let it be. Not that I don't want to spend all the time with you, but basically this fullness, it comes from this, wanting to be expressed, this action. This is really funny because I was looking up, and this comes full circle to what I did want to touch on, because I am learning more and more that the way I learned, and this could be possibly how you feel, and you may feel more and more right now, is that like the source, this feedback is also, the more that you have a certain response, you'll notice it talking to you. If you're not someone who believes in signs or synchronicities, you will have probably quite a few of those experiences come up today. And one of my cats is now on the table, so I'm just going to get him off because this is not where we need to be right now. This Leo energy. And he's orange. You okay, babe? Okay. So behaviors, how it is explained is that it's action based. It's something that you're actively doing, as opposed to like it living in your head, because it living in your head is just a judgment, right? And we have the judgment card come out here. So there's something in you that needs to be expressed, because it maybe it's been in your head too long that now it's causing judgment, or it's causing this back up, like, what's that called? Like build up. It's like mold buildup, you know. It's just our plaque buildup, right? So that's also, let's stick with the plaque, because as kind of gross as that sounds, we all have it. And it's your teeth, it's your expression. So you don't necessarily have to be talking for this expression to be real and relevant. No, you don't. It's more of just like, but what is your version of that? You know, and where is it coming from? Because ultimately it's becoming more of the backbone to whatever it is that you're pursuing, whether it's a career, whether it's a creative venture, whether it is just having more courage for yourself, within yourself. Because right now, and I am not talking like I'm calm, cool, and collective, but being so able to be yourself is like that. It's like that cool side of you that just like happens to be your nature, right? That nature that really just comes out of you. And it's not something, and it's something that you're going to find becomes more routine. It becomes more routine to your process, that you've seen and you've taken a look at what, because Mercury will enter your sign this month as well. You know, we're going to have a triple dose of all of this, but it will all go into it at different times. So can you feel the Gemini energy? Okay, we're going to just try to bring it down for a moment. But everything's like happening and moving and becoming alive, and it just feels good. So I just want to share that. But here we are, you taking back to the table. You know, you honoring your word. You honoring it to yourself, like it's a prayer, like it's this conversation, this intimate conversation between you and the divine, you and God, you and source, you and yourself. And what this does for you, is it exposes, and I didn't even mean, obviously, like, can't make this shit up, but going all the way back to the light, you know, whatever's becoming very obvious, this light that's coming out of you now, what's been happening for a while, you know, full circle here, full circle. You begin to receive, so you have the dogs and the scorpion at the bottom, and I want to give those attention right now, because what it's making me realize is that's how you're going to start having this feedback with the universe. If you're not already surrounded by the people that you love or that love you, or if you're not, you know, with people enough this month, obviously you'll be out there, but it's like, so your time, like, how am I going to explain this? Like, you're going to be with people, but you're also going to be alone. And I know it's been a little bit more difficult the past few years in your season for yourself, and that can, you know, be very much the common theme throughout every sign. But you specifically are feeling yourself so much that you are in this flow. Basically, you have found you're either finding, or you are beginning to really dive into what makes things work for you, or what feedback loop you're in, you know, what pattern you're in. And also what you're beginning to create even more, and how that's being brought back to you with the response through the people you draw in, the experiences you draw in. All of these things are going to reflect, and you have the choice to leave. You have the choice to change that as well. But you may experience more of this happiness and this beauty in a way that's so pure that it could make you cry. But it also could make you take risks. And that's going back to that courage. Is like, you know, you're a Gemini, of course you have courage. But this is like a flame that, it's that flickering flame that never goes out. I'm sure there's a story about it. I just don't know. We can make that up right now. This flame, it's like the eternal flame. I'm sure that is a story and I just forget. It's the eternal flame. Okay. So exciting. I was just so excited more than ever to start this. So happy to be here. The links are all below. We'll take a look at the second part, which we're going to go into right now. And I hope you got outside today. If it's beautiful where you are, no matter where it is, I hope that you experience and express yourself in the way that you want. Desire. Okay, Gemini. See you soon.